Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to Unexplored Halo. Today we're going to be checking out Tsavo Highway, which is the third mission of Halo 3. Now, this mission, I believe, is criminally underrated, and I think it might be one of the best missions in Halo 3, actually. However, I do also have to say, this mission can be incredibly short, or it can be a decent length, depending on how you play through it, and it's completely up to the player, which is kind of part of the brilliance of Halo's sandbox. Now, Tsavo Highway is based on the real-world region of Kenya, also named Tsavo, and the region of Tsavo is close to where the Tsavo and Athi rivers meet. But enough about that, let's go ahead and jump into the mission. Now, Tsavo Highway starts at the bottom of the destroyed elevator shaft as we make our heroic exit from Crow's Nest. Now, at the very beginning, this Marine has to turn on the emergency power, and we can find the switch over here. However, this switch acts really weird. As the players approach the switch will turn off, and as we walk away, the switch will turn on. Don't know why this is or why it behaves like that, but I just think it's really interesting. Also, at the beginning, you don't have to open the door. If you wait long enough, eventually this Marine will open the door for you. How kind of him. Also, be careful as you drive out because there is a Marine standing behind the door for whatever reason, and sometimes you might accidentally hit him with your Warthog. Now, as we go through the caves, there's actually a fork in the road for whatever reason, and you can go to your right to a darker portion of the cave, but it loops right around immediately. Now, part of the brilliance of Tsavo Highway is choice. There are so many enemy encounters where you can choose to help the Marines or choose to kill the Covenant, or you can just keep on driving and keep on making your way through the level. There's a ton of player freedom to decide whatever you want to do, which I think is pretty awesome. And at the very beginning, make sure you come over here towards the cliff to get some unique dialogue.
New Mombasa space elevator.
It collapsed when the city got glassed.
But the tether was thousands of kilometers high.
Yeah, well now it's scattered all over the savannah.
So the really cool thing about this level is you can see the aftermath of the Mombasa space elevator collapse following the slip space rift created by the Prophet of Regret's ship. And as we continue further along the path, eventually we will encounter these Jackal Snipers. And, fun fact, this is the only mission in Halo 3 which features Jackal Snipers with actual beam rifles on lower difficulties. All the other missions, there are no Sniper Jackals on easier difficulties. Now, as we come up towards this next crashed Phantom and we get a grenade stuck to our Warthog, make sure you come on down below the crashed Phantom because we can listen in to the radio. You can hear some funny and interesting dialogue from some brutes, and you can also hear some Morse code, and if you wait long enough, you can hear the song Under Cover of Night from Halo 1. And apparently the Morse code says 3 different phrases. One is Frog blasts the vent core. The next one is Sababul, an acronym for Xbox, that is shiny and bumping and bursting with love. And the last one is Don't make us kick your ass. And as we move on to the next area, we come to this kind of very small lake bed, and we have a piece of the space elevator hovering above us. Now, this area can be a bit of a tricky fight, especially on higher difficulties, but on lower difficulties it's not too bad. Now, I did want to mention there is like a dam-like structure here. However, this lake would be very tiny, so I'm not sure what purpose it would serve. But either way, we can see there is a small river running into the lake, and on the other side of the dam, the riverbed continues further down. However, I don't really know if it's still in use, but hey, it doesn't really matter. Now, I did want to point out, as I said earlier, this mission can be extremely easy. This is my playthrough on Legendary difficulty, and I just simply drive past all of the enemies. However, the portion with the dam can be very tricky on Legendary, and it's mainly a matter of luck. And as we drive into the next part, you will notice that that brute chopper always hits that Warthog, and that Warthog happens to have a Marine in the turret. So I want to know if we can save this Marine. In the previous episode, we tried to save the Marines in the Warthog on Crow's Nest. However, it's pretty much impossible, but I wanted to find out here, so I grabbed a beam rifle from those Jackals, and I ran over and was just trying to snipe the brute out of the chopper. And it took me a few tries, but eventually I got pretty good at it. And this try here, I just barely missed his head, so we reloaded the save. Thankfully, there's a checkpoint right here, so we just keep attempting it, and bam, we did it. And yes, you can save this Marine. You just need some very quick and some very good shooting from, well, your beam rifle. But it is possible. Now, as we come around this area, you're going to want to make sure to pick up this gravity lift. And the reason you want it is because it'll make a later part of the mission much easier and give you more options about how you want to approach the next big fight. But for now, we want to go ahead and clear out all of these enemies. Now, one thing I wanted to say about this mission is it's kind of half driving, half walking, or just kind of a wild mix of both. This is the first Halo 3 mission with vehicles. And because of that, the developers did a great job blending vehicle combat and like foot combat. The player can really choose which one they want in all of these areas. If you don't want to use a vehicle, you don't have to. Now, as we go into this tunnel, we can see that the tunnel was severely damaged by a piece of the space elevator. Obviously, it came crashing down and landed on top, leaving this big hole. I wanted to mention that there's a lot of amazing attention to detail with the space elevator parts littered around the mission as the drones spawn in. But these space elevator parts will actually make a lot of noises, and they will react with noise if you go near them or if you touch them. Now, on higher difficulties, these drones can be a bit troublesome, but if you just hurry through the mission, you can actually skip this entire sequence. As you will see here, this is on Legendary. Basically, you want to go to the opposite side of that shade turret and just hit the shield and keep on driving. Then, with that grav lift, we can deploy it right in front of these barriers and get over the barriers. Normally, the game tries to force you to get out of your Warthog for the next part, but we can circumvent that. But we get this very epic shot of the Covenant ship zooming overhead, and as we drive further down the highway, we get a magnificent view of the storm. Obviously, the storm was heavily used in Halo 3's advertising, especially the first couple of trailers. Really beautiful, really epic. Now, before heading on to the next big fight, I wanted to mention that we can find the Tough Luck skull along this road. If you climb up this ladder, you can just follow this pipe, and you want to jump over this next little fence. There's also a regen up on that platform for whatever reason. Fall down here, and then you just jump across the gap, and you can find the skull, which I then used to punch my friend, also named the Army of Beaters. What a lad. And also worth mentioning, on the other side of the collapsed tunnel, we can find this small little outpost, and there's a dead Marine inside, there's some trip mines, and on the outside there's a plasma pistol. Perhaps this Marine met an unfortunate end at the hands of an elite before the Great Schism occurred. Now, in the next area, there's a very large fight taking place. From the right, you have some Marines fighting some smaller Covenant forces. You can help them out, and those Marines will go help out the main Marines who are bogged down by a large force of Covenant. Now, if you head on back and you go up on this large security gate, there's actually a sniper rifle conveniently waiting for you at the top, which you can use to kill the enemies below. Or you can choose to come up here with the Marines, where you'll find trip mines and some turrets, grenades, which will prove useful in your defense. Or you can use these pipes on the right, which is what I did after sniping, which provide valuable defense against the Wraith and the brutes below you. These pipes are very useful in this fight, and after that, the Wraith decided to push me, and I took the Wraith. Pretty nice. Now, I did want to mention, this is one of 3 missions in Halo 3 with a transport Warthog. Basically, a civilian Warthog with no weapons. However, if you arm a bunch of Marines with these fuel rod cannons on a transport Warthog, it turns into a machine of death. Now, I didn't do it for this video. I did a much smaller version where I gave the Marine in the passenger seat a fuel rod gun, and it proved kind of useful in killing these choppers. Now, this part is actually pretty easy, especially after you've gotten rid of the Wraith. Now, as we approach the next area, I went ahead and used the Warthog, and on normal difficulty, it's actually incredibly easy. You can just rush your way all the way to the end, and if you have low health like I do, you can just hide behind the shield. Now, also using a chopper, you can easily skip this entire section. Just boost up the wall here, you'll land on this nice little ramp, and well, bye-bye. You don't have to worry about the wraiths or the choppers. Really easy. Or you can do what me and my friend did, and that is use that hijacked wraith from earlier in order to wreak havoc on all of the Covenant in the area. This chopper died a very funny death, crashing into his own wraith from above. I don't know how he achieved that, but I thought it was pretty funny. Now, I just wanted to showcase how this level goes when speedrunning on Legendary, trying to go really fast. It's really easy. Use the Warthog to go through those pipes, kind of go around on the outside next to the debris from the space elevator, and then just boost up like you saw me do earlier. And then using a fuel rod cannon, we can use the physics of the explosives as they kind of fall down towards the ground in order to destroy the shield generator. After that, if you have a bubble shield, it makes it a lot easier because you can just hide in here, wait for your shields to recharge, and then run towards the license plate on the tilted truck. Don't know why, but that license plate will end the mission as long as you've destroyed the shield generator. Now, before we end this video, there is a vacation located at the end of the level. Also up on this platform, we can find some cigarettes and Chinese food, which is an Easter egg for Bungie employees, as they ate a lot of Chinese food during the development of Halo 3. Now, using deployable covers, or a grav lift, it's a lot easier if you have a grav lift, but using deployable covers, you can use one on top of the shade turret, jump up here on this pipe. Then, using another deployable covers are very convenient here because most of the brutes carry one, so they're very abundant in this last area. Anyways, walk to the end, throw down another deployable cover, like so, and then you can jump on top of the tunnel, and from here you can easily exit the map. Now, it might help if you're good at jumping, because my friend did struggle a little bit to get up here, but he just jumped off the edge of the cliff, and then he respawned right next to me. And then if we head on over to the edge, it might look really scary, but I promise you it's not that scary. You just walk along the side of the cliff here, and you have to jump over this kind of metal beam, and when you jump over it, you're pretty much outside of the map. You're free to go where you want. Now, this jump isn't too difficult, but it might be a little awkward. As you can see there, my friend fell off, but it's okay because I was alive. Obviously, doing these glitches is a lot better with more people, just because you never know when you're going to die randomly or something really bad's going to happen, and you have your friend to respawn next to. But just keep trying to climb your way up the cliff, and you're free to explore the map wherever you want to go. Of course, we get that really weird Halo glow that is very typical of Halo 3 vacations, and we can see through the map and see a lot of the level design, which is pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, there will be some invisible barriers if you go too far. However, as long as you don't make a huge jump, I didn't find any kill barriers necessarily. Also, I wanted to point out in the background there, you can actually see Crow's Nest. On this mission, you can see smoke rising from Crow's Nest, obviously after the bomb detonated from the previous mission. Now you can walk down this mountain over here, and you can go kind of close to the storm, or at least a lot closer than the game would otherwise allow you, but eventually, of course, you will run into an invisible wall. But nonetheless, me and my friend had a blast just exploring outside of the playable area, doing weird things and just checking out all kinds of interesting things. And as you approach the storm, you can see Covenant ships off in the distance glassing the area around the Forerunner artifact. And it's also worth noting that off in the distance you can see these missile silos and stuff, but unfortunately we cannot approach them, and in all likelihood they're probably just small 2D models, kind of like these radio towers here. They just look like paper from up close, which I thought was pretty amusing. But from far away, they look convincing enough. And I have to say, upon replaying Halo 3, I'm pretty impressed at how well this game aged. For being released in 2007, I think it still looks really damn good. Now, me and my friend also found that at the invisible wall way out here, grenades will just disappear. However, they still deal all of the damage, and then I had a really funny death animation. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something about Tsavo Highway during the course of this video. I had a lot of fun making this video. I tried out some new things in regards to making videos in Halo, trying to utilize theater mode a lot more for the sake of the video to make it look better, and it was also pretty fun using theater mode a lot more. Let me know what you guys thought of that in the comment section below, and if you have any recommendations for future videos, please post them in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, until next time.